Okay, so what we have here is the LANTAC UK version 22 LR. I've had it a month or so now. I've put a few thousand rounds through it, and because of how long they take to arrive in the UK, they're pretty hard to come by, and I know that there's questions people have about whether or not it's worth getting one and whether it's worth paying the money and waiting the time. Save you a lot of time from watching the rest of this video by just saying, yes it is, go and get one, they're great. But I thought I'd give you a quick rundown of what I've experienced, a quick look inside to get a full understanding of actually what it is that you get, and then that'll probably be it, to be honest. So first thing to point out is that this isn't standard. This has got some accoutrements that are my preferences on. I also didn't want to wait for the short barrel handguards to get in, so this is a 12.5-inch barrel version. And I knew that I wanted to put my Daniel Defence handguard on it, so I just asked LANTAC if they'd send it to me without, because they were having a delivery delay on the handguards, and they did. So Daniel Defence handguard. I'll just take off the non-standard bits. So a sight mark reflex sight, works great, shoots out to 100 yards with 22 easily. I've got a target over there which has a grouping of, I think, 1.5 inches with 10 shots, shooting blazer, using this and a 3x mag. Great sight, costs like 200 quid. There is the Vortex Micro 3x magnifier. Again, great optic, quite a bit pricey, costs more than the sight mark itself, but someone was selling it with a crossfire for 250 quid, so bargain. Slings, arguably in the UK, slings are surplus to requirement, but I find that when I'm shooting on the practical range, I like that extra security of having the rifle strapped to me, and it just helps me be confident about which direction it's pointing, making sure that I'm safe, and that I'm not going to drop it if I'm doing a reload on the move. It does mean that you have to pay extra attention when you are moving with the sling on, because obviously pointing it straight forward, like out from your body, can be a little more challenging than if you don't have a sling, but it all comes down to personal preference. This is a Faro Concepts Slingster, and this is also great. I'd recommend getting one of these. They are a bit expensive for a sling if you're in the UK and you're not going to be using it for duty use and it's just for mucking around. However, with the speed attachment to change the length of the sling, kind of quickly shortening, lengthening in real time as you want, is great. Well worth the money. The LANTAC rifles don't come with iron sights on them. I spent a long time, I prefer shooting with iron sights. It's part of the reason why I have the historic rifles. I spent a long time with cheap iron sights on the Chris Defiance and found them problematic and not consistent. So this time I thought, well, I've spent the money on the rifle, I'm going to spend the money on the sights. So just definitely clear. So we've got Daniel Defence fixed front sight and the Magpul MBus Pro LR rear sight, so you can adjust for elevation as well as windage. The reason I went for this over just the standard MBus Pro is because with 22 LR and its lower power, I've found with other cheaper sights that having the ability to adjust the elevation meant that I could get a zero that was more flexible, so I could have it at either 6 o'clock hold or point of aim, point of impact. So that's why I opted for this, and it also means that when I'm co-witnessing, I have the option of again having the co-witness set up at that 6 o'clock, so it just makes the sight a little bit cleaner if I want to use them both at the same time, whether that be for fine-tuning either the iron sights or the red dot, or just for a bit of variation in the way that I'm using it. So that's the attachments. This is a Troy Industries modular foregrip as well. Again, absolutely rock solid, and I'd recommend it. I went with this. I've got a stubby grip, a BCM stubby grip, but I found that actually for my hand size, I prefer the additional length that comes with the full-sized modular, and you can use that for sea gripping or just a standard front grip. So the actual rifle, you're looking at industry standard 70-75 aluminium. It's rock solid. What you're buying is as near to a full-blooded AR-15 in the UK as you can get, whilst maintaining reliability and affordability to shoot. 22 WMR is obviously that next step closer, in terms of, you're using a AR-15 style bolt, like a 223 AR-15 style bolt that actually utilizes the buffer spring. However, 22 WMR ammunition is expensive and it's not hugely reliable yet. There's people that you have to go through a lot of process. Range 23 has talked about the process he's had to go through to get his timed exactly right. So if we're talking about what's the nearest you're going to get that's standard reliable function, you're looking at LANTAC or Battle Arms at Cotswold Classics, or Cotswold Classics L119 Aero Arms. So if I pull this apart, what you're getting with the LANTAC is basically the AR-15 that they sell in the US, but obviously in the 22 long rifle configuration. So that means it comes with a fully functioning buffer spring. I've bought one of these little plugs. I got it from Harry von Hoofpigs. Thank you, Harry. Because the plugs are thought to, and I've watched some slow motion video and it looks like it's, a fair summation of what happens in the process. They're to add a little more forward pressure against your 22 LR bolt, so that it's not wobbling within the upper receiver. And off the top of my head, I can't remember what problems that causes, but as this was cheap, I just thought, well, I'll get it and then I'll be safe, and not have, that's one less thing to worry about having issues with the bolt. But you got fully functioning buffer tube, which means that you can put a 223 or above straight pull upper on this bottom receiver. It's a multi-caliber bottom receiver, and then you can just use that for your 22 long rifle or straight pull if you're in the UK. LANTAC have said that they're going to start selling uppers only in the UK market so that people can do this. So that's part of my plan for getting a 223 straight pull upper. Probably stick with the LANTAC because the quality is just great. The fit and finishing is solid. So if we look on this lower receiver, the quality of the engraving that you get, the actual quality of the materials is really good. You can see there, everything's really clean. The fit and finish is clean. How do I put this diplomatically? tried to buy a 22LR AR15 from another supplier in the UK. The price ended up being about the same as the LANTAC, and the quality was just rubbish. There were scratches, the engraving lines weren't clean. It just wasn't very good. And then to top it all off, the rear of the actual bolt had a crack in it. So I returned it, got my money back, put the order in for the LANTAC, and just waited. And it ended up being, I think, about 5.5 months from placing my order for the LANTAC to getting the rifle in hand. So yeah, the lower receiver, it comes with a mil-spec trigger, and in all honesty, the trigger is terrible. It's incredibly heavy, it's creepy. I swapped it over with the springs from my Chris. So I did some testing of shooting a group with the Chris and the Chris's standard barrel, and then I swapped those trigger springs over into the LANTAC with its bent chamber and match barrel, and having that lighter trigger in tighten those groups up so that it shoots really well. It does mean that you're having to spend extra money to change the trigger out, either to get a set trigger or to find somewhere that stocks lighter springs. I bought the lighter springs from Gunfellas as a temporary fix until I decide what kind of trigger I want to buy, and the difference isn't huge. So I'd consider that before going out and buying the lighter trigger spring set for them. I've tried getting an extra set of trigger springs from Chris, but I just can't find anyone in the UK that sells them. If you're in the US, you can get them like that, and they're cheap as well. But the UK, it's more of a challenge. So at the minute, I've got the lighter trigger spring set from Gunfellas in. The difference isn't huge. It's still not particularly clean trigger, but you know, it is what it is. With regards to the last round bolt hold open and the bolt catch, the LANTAC LA-SF15 comes with the Catch 22 version 1 bolt catch, which isn't this. I've cannibalized this from the Chris Defiance. The one that comes with the rifle doesn't work consistently. The LA-SF15 used to come with the better mag adapter, no longer comes with the better mag adapter. You just get the version 1 bolt catch, and the lockback just doesn't. Even if you're manually racking it, you might, I think maybe I got it about 30% of the time manually racking that it would hold back. Otherwise it just doesn't work. The one from the Chris works perfectly. I've got the Catch 22 magazine well adapter, that means that the magazines fit in snugly. I'm just trying to see if I've got a magazine to hand, but I don't. But that holds the magazines in snugly. Last round hold open then works 100% every time. So you are going to need, if you want that last round hold open, you are going to need to find a solution, whether it be buying the better mag adapter or finding a bolt catch from another rifle. If you've got a Chris and you're upgrading, maybe swap it out before you sell it. Just for note, I've kept my Chris, I haven't sold it with a slightly duff bolt catch in. The other non-standard part that I've got in here is that I've put all of my lefty accoutrements on. So I've got my lefty magazine release. I swapped over to, it comes with ambidextrous safety, but the throw is a full 90 degrees. And after having a 45-degree throw for a long time, I just found that irritating. So I've swapped that out as well. But that is something that is purely optional, because you will have that ambidextrous safety option as standard. With regards to the bolt, it's really nicely machined. It's got the LANTAC details on the top, engraved in, pattern engraving on the back. Again, the quality difference between this bolt and the bolt that I received from the other UK distributor is just night and day. This is a really clean, well polished piece. There's still some slightly rough welding, but I think that seems to just be the standard. I think even the Chris, which is a different bolt setup, different bolt structure, because you've got your chamber adapter attached to the bolt with the CMMG style that comes with the LANTAC, whereas with the Chris, that adapter is built onto the barrel, and so the bolt kind of lines right up to the barrel, whereas with the LANTAC you've got the bolt and then the chamber and the feed ramp is all attached within the bolt piece. The bolt runs great. I've had the odd hang up, however I think that's more to do with the current batch of Blazer ammunition, because I have that problem with my Chris where I never had it before Blazer's QC or CCI's QC started to drop over the past 12 to 18 months. So I'm happy that this bolt isn't the problem where there's a few hang-ups, but in 2,500 rounds, talking about a handful of failure to ejects, and that's about it. For the upper receiver, again, you're looking at the same high production standards as the lower receiver. Clean machining work. You can see where the charging handle has kind of chewed that upper receiver a little bit, but really clean machining properties, nice engraving work, again, just nice little touches that make the rifle feel clean and feel like a high quality product. Again, non-standard charging handle, the Radium Raptor. If you buy a Stealth Raven, pretty sure that comes with Radium furniture as standard, so that includes the charging handle as well as the safety selector switches are all Radian. But if you buy the standard LA-SF15, you just get a standard mil-spec charging handle. Non-standard buttstock as well. Got the Fab Defense that I swapped over from the Chris. The Magpul stock is fine. It had a bit of rattling that I didn't like, so I swapped it over to the Fab Defense. I kind of bodged it with a little bit of electric tape, which took most of the rattle out, and then I swapped over for the Fab Defense, so that's a really nice tight fit. And on the Chris comes with a little bit of like foam tape over the barrel extension, so it fits snugly on the Chris. So now I've got two rifles that have got decent snug fitting stocks. The Magpul pistol grip is good. It comes with a little compartment cap so that you can, I've got some maintenance tools, so every tool that I would need to do any maintenance on this gun at the range is kept in that pistol grip, which is a nice touch. It's comfortable, it's functional, you know, it works well for me. So yeah, it's a great rifle. If you want an AR-15 and you want to feel like you own a proper AR-15 in the UK, you don't want to spend the money on 22 WMR and have it, you know, splutter and cough and only have 15 rounds in your magazines, the LANTAC's a great choice.